FocusMe already taking the Kog'Maw away from Zeitnot.
And we had this conversation legitimately 20 minutes ago about the undervaluing that we thought Kog'Maw had gone through so far on the international wildcard. He just feels like at the moment that with Kalista permanently banned, the premier AD carry, he's got such a good power spike as soon as he gets the Trinity Force. In fact, as soon as he gets a Sheen, just give it to him. And it actually partners up with the tanky supports relatively well because Trinity Force, especially with the Phage, makes him a relatively tanky AD carry at the start of the game.
Yeah, definitely. And self-sustaining is another word for it. Once he gets the Trinity Force, he can duel quite well, and it's very scary to leave a champion alone. You can lane swap with him, you can outrange his poke. He honestly just does it all, and since Kalista's not there, there's no better first pick.
Yeah, and the only thing he doesn't have is a reliable escape, but with the exit of Assassins, you feel that that is just not as important as all the trump cards he has.
So we do have Elise locked in, likely for Crystal, but that's a Warwick locked in.
That certainly is. Now, that raises a lot of questions. We don't have the answer to just yet.
Okay.
It is the first rotation. You would assume a top lane.
Yeah.
And it's also, honestly, it's a really good way to keep down a Kalista or a Kog'Maw.
Yeah,
you just press R.
Is that lockdown. And, you know, as soon as you have Elise, we talk about this all the time, you pigeonhole into pick. Who better off to start a pick than a Flash Infinite Duress, I think it's called?
Yeah.
If I throw back to, like, the start of casting. But Warwick, he certainly pumps out a lot of damage if he gets farmed, so we'll see how they can make it work.
We'll have to see if that Warwick sticks. As you can see, we are going to remake real quick and figure everything out, but I'm actually really looking forward to how Detonation FocusMe are going to pick into this. I mean, obviously, they prioritize the Kog'Maw. They want to go for that late-game hyperscaling Rokenia once again.
I think the big question is they actually first rotation had a Warwick, and that raises some big eyebrows.
I think that was a big misclick.
Yeah, that definitely doesn't feel right. If it was, then they've just given the entire rest of the draft phase to say, well, pick against it. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah, especially when you know that Utapon plays Gangplank. We've seen it ban against him. We've seen him flash it multiple times. Playing melee champion without good sustain into Gangplank, I'm going to call it suicide. I'll let you guys decide whether it is, but as soon as that guy has a Sheen, he just destroys your top laner.
Completely.
Very scary situation for poor Elwing. But let's talk a little bit about Syros and Naru. Naru, he got to take the victor into Syros' Zillion last time. Now, we haven't seen it since. And we hyped it up before the game yesterday, how it was this huge, amazing thing.
Well, everyone else banned it,
and then he played it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, we haven't seen it because people took it off. And you know what? In all honesty, if Rokenia hadn't been that far behind, the Zillion would have been a genius pick. We would be talking about it and how well it was doing. They were a little bit all over the shop because they didn't want to fight. And then when they were fighting, the priority target wasn't the Kog'Maw up in the front line, getting all these extra spells on him. So we'll have to see whether they are able to make it work because, you know, I really like the draft that Detonation FocusMe bought game one. They just got too far behind to execute on it.
No, they definitely did. But I feel like we just touched on this not too long ago that stylistically having that Juggernaut style of comp actually unlocks Dark Passage to play their own strengths. And that is a big mistake against this side. Every single time the Dark Passage have lost, they've been up against a team that just destroys mid lane. They camp mid, 4-man gank him consistently, get him behind so that he defaults to split pushing, and that, in a way, it actually ruins the shot calling of their side.
I completely agree, and which is the reason why I don't know whether it's the Juggernaut comp. It's the Juggernaut comp with standard lanes. What you need to do if you want to play that style of composition, lane swap, just get experience onto the Juggernaut. It also helps out, means you're not going to get smashed in the 2v2, and then just send all your resources mid and continue to crush Naru, because honestly, if there's a strategy that's worked this tournament so far, it's to get in the head of the Dark Passage's mid laner and just continue to hold him down. We saw the highlight reel of Ejim against Dark Passage, and it was just all time and time again going at the mid laner.
We'll have to see if he's going to be able to keep his cool in this game. There were obviously some questionable calls later on whenever Naru was pressured, I guess we'll say. But, well, how does he deal with that then? He's got a fresh day. He's got a fresh head. People have been focusing him.
So the first thing I'm going to say is don't play a split pusher.
Yep.
You know, he tried it against the Chiefs, and what happened is the Chiefs kept collapsing on him, and the team wasn't decisive enough to start up a Baron to push the top lane or something like that, because he was focusing so much on his individual mechanics, which he needed to because Swiffer was cheating towards that side of the map time and time again. But if he is grouped up, that no longer becomes a problem. He has the ability to be able to shot call very well with his team.
So that's one of the big adaptations I wanted to see from this side, is coming into this next day, they've had a night to reset, and they've realized, I honestly think that Naru went full solo queue. He lost to a Diana and said, well, I'm going to play this champion. It looks really strong. And then realized it doesn't work with his team. So go back to a control mage, perhaps. Go to like the Orianas and work with your team late game so that you can shot call. And when you engage, you are there to do it.
Yeah, 100%. The other thing that we've always complimented Dark Passage on is how they play the map. So, you know, just take the Diana or take something like an Ahri if you do want to play an assassin, but do what the Chiefs did with it. Deny vision. Make sure that you're walking towards them. Start up fights and blow up the back line. Get your flanks going. You don't need to split push with assassins because we saw what G4 did with the exact same pick, like just running through people. Like it definitely is possible.
Yeah, well, we are back into pick and ban for this game. As you can see, that Warwick wasn't intentional. You know, we still got 30 seconds. It might come back, but the Elise once again locked in, and Udapon still on that Kog'Maw. And Braum now picked up for Rydell. Yeah,
not many changes here. Only the Braum from the first two. So the Elise very strong. We spoke about how the Kog'Maw is a very important first pick because Kalista is not available. It works with aggressive tank supports. It works with passive supports. And the most important thing that I would like to see in this next rotation in response is to give Astorore his best jungle champion to deal with the early pressure of Crystal.
Yeah, completely agree. And, you know, the thing that kind of separates, I was going to say Rek'Sai over Gragas, is Rek'Sai clears really quickly and has the ability to go underground and look if you're getting invaded, whereas Gragas clears a little bit more healthily and has a bit better 1v1 potential because a lot of people prefer to max the W now. When it was a Q max out of Gragas, they were pretty much the exact same champion if we're going to be honest, but with the W max, you just do so much upfront damage.
So the one small thing as well is Body Slam hits Spiderlings and can be very annoying in trades if you find each other in the jungle, but Astarore's only played Gragas in this tournament in 6 games. So
yeah, and he's been a monster. Honestly, you know, everyone was looking at Udapon and saying, like, the chosen son of Japan has finally arisen. He, like, destroyed people on Rise. You go back and look the first 3 times Udapon got kills, and it's a really good level 3, like, positioning out of Astorore as a counter gank in the top lane, then arriving to the bottom lane gank as well. That dude was absolutely everywhere and jungled the heck out of 007X in that last victory.
We'll have to see if Crystal can keep up in this set as Astorore once again looks to roam all around that map on that Titanic Gragas. With the Gragas and Janna locked in, that is a lot of disengage to keep Kog'Maw alive. Dark Passage, how are they going to deal with that?
Disengage, and it also unlocks the rest of their champion pool to look towards the Zilean again, to look towards the Lulu in that middle lane. They have the makings for that well and truly set in stone. It's up to Dark Passage here. See if they want to kill it or they want to take it.
Ooh, last second swap over to the Maokai for Elwyn. Dark Passage looking a bit shaky with their picks.
You could see that they wanted to go with the Fizz because they know that Udapon plays such a good Maokai at this stage of the game, and also that it helps to protect the Kog'Maw comp so much because the peel out of Maokai is phenomenal with the damage reduction, but instead, so that's why they flexed it over to the side of Elwind, I have to assume.
And the fact that Elwind is a Fizz god, and it has been banned from him during his regular season in his own region, has not been respected here. I'm surprised he didn't just pick it to command that respect in the game.
Yeah, and also kind of removes the Maokai because Fizz is such a good 1v1 duelist. You never want to go into that matchup. Right now, they're hovering the mid gangplank. This is something that we know Seros has flirted with a little bit.
Yeah, it's locked not just flirted. In. Gangplank picked up for Detonation FocusMe.
That is an interesting blind pick. Rusty, I know you play it. What's up with mid gangplank?
Mid Gangplank's just playing good, man. There's no ways around it. It is just really damn good. Gangplank works in solo lanes because he's based off levels with the kegs, and that's most of his play is keg play. And it's a very strong comp now. They've got a lot of mixed damage. They've got physical in the middle lane, so they can pick that rumble for the top lane. And honestly, a blind pick, it's questionable because his early laning is average. You don't really have the capacity to use the kegs. You can very easily avoid them, or just pick a ranged champion here from Dark Passage and you'll be fine.
And that's why I like the mid lane, actually, for Gangplank, because it's a little bit shorter, so it's less punishing.
Yeah.
And he also, as soon as he hits level 6, he can do the Victor thing where you drop your ultimate and just get a free recall. What I do like about it, coupled up with a Kog'Maw, however, as it might... Yeah, they swap good. Yeah. So what you do with Kog'Maw is when you're sieging up turrets, Gangplank is now one of the best sieges in the game because you drop a barrel on your Kog'Maw. And it sounds crazy, but as soon as they try and engage, you just get the 2 barrels on the flanks of your team. They can't run at you. You detonate it and you can run away at like top speed. The dude flies around the map. Yeah. So I really like Gangplank at the moment. Don't check my win percentage on him. I think I'm 1 in 11.
You like the champion.
Yeah, I like the theory behind Gangplank. I dislike the execution right now.
But definitely, no, it's a big factor in this is that their siege now with a rumble and a Gangplank doesn't feel strong, but it really is just because they've got this anti-engage. If Dark Passage try and throw down the Varus ultimate and Elise tries to go in, Maokai tries to go in, they're going to lose a whole lot of health trying to kill that Kog'Maw.
And neutral objectives become nearly impossible for them to contest because, you know, you've got the speed of Kog'Maw. Trinity Force Blade of the Wrong King just takes you neutral so quickly with the W.
Yeah.
And then the setup of a Rumble Gangplank, being able to drop the equalizer, hit all the barrels. All of a sudden, you're not going anywhere. You're taking so much damage. It's a quirky comp out of Detonation FocusMe, but I actually really like it from the red side.
Looks to be a scary setup from
Blue
Detonation
side.
FocusMe as they'll be doing a lot of damage. Will Dark Passage be able to take another win? We're getting onto the Rift right now. You can see them on our wonderful screen behind us. It's freaking cool. But Dark Passage, you know, they saw the Kog'Maw, they saw the Gragas Janna, and then there was the Rumble Gangplank locked in. It's AoE, it's disengage. You've got a Kog'Maw for insurance. How on earth are they going to deal with this?
I think the best way to describe this is throwback to when Teemo was actually a part of some kind of meta. Everyone was desperate to bring him into the meta, and you would just put shrooms everywhere near the objective that you're looking for, similar to the kegs will be now. And now you've got a Rumble on top of the kegs, so that if they start the Baron, and Dark Passage look to contest that Baron, they're walking through death.
So we do actually have a pause at the start of the game. We're going to go ahead and work through that, but let's talk a little bit more about trying to deal with that then. So if Dark Passage want to take objectives, they're going to have to set this up minutes in advance.
Yeah, they can either do that or, you know, if they ever get the early lead again, they can just kind of control that area of the map. Gangplank actually needs setup time because he needs to get his first keg in position. Otherwise, the chain just doesn't occur. And what they have on the side of Dark Passage is, once again, a really high damage mid laner. They've got good poke comp out of Corki to siege up. And then their pick potential with the Maokai, with the Elise, is just phenomenal if they ever control areas of the map and deny vision.
It's a weird roundabout way of saying it's a poke versus engage team fighting comp, is that Dark Passage can go. They can poke themselves, though. So the real question is there really even a way for Japanese side? I've already forgot. Detonation FocusMe, that's the one. Is there really a way for them to actually engage, siege, or do anything besides neutral?
Flash Body Slam, man. Flash Body Slam OP.
We'll see if it is going to happen as we have loaded onto the Rift. It's game number 1 of day number 2 of the International Wildcard Qualifier. Worlds is on the line for these teams. Detonation FocusMe versus Dark Passage.
A very good time to mention that Worlds is on the line because these teams are all very close. One win away from each other, essentially. You can either break the closeness or you can bring it back to square if they can find a victory here, Dark Passage, with the Japanese side. And the Chiefs are all at 2 wins.
We do have defensive lines coming out for everyone so far. Don't know if we're going to see any lane swaps just yet, as there aren't any D-boards being placed. Udapon dodges the sapling coming out of Elwind. And it is a nice, patient start to this. And I have to admit, I'm not surprised. It is Varus and Braum, which do a lot of damage, but it's Gangplank, man. You got to respect it.
Yeah.
Gangplank's not great level 1.
Uh-huh.
No, and it's the fact that Varus, Braum, even Corki and Elise to a degree, they all do a lot of damage, but it's when you come at them. So if there's a neutral start from Detonation FocusMe, it's going to remain neutral across the board.
Yeah, and it looks like both top laners going to tank up camps for their junglers. We've seen this the entire tournament, being able to keep them nice and healthy throughout.
Oh, wow.
It's a little interesting.
They must know that ward is there, yeah.
I believe Zeitnot saw the ward go down. He's got to have it on a timer. Trying to play around the vision. Might try to catch that Kog'Maw in the bottom lane. Yeah, they're headed on down now. The ward has expired.
They're in
That is
actually
so
behind.
cute.
They're trying
they're
to invade
invading.
on the double golem.
Scary situation for Detonation FocusMe, but luckily it would be 4 versus 2 once Rokinia shows up, so they don't take any chances, and Rokinia gets the duo lane.
So the key factor there was they were looking for the duo actually doing the cogs themselves. They saw Janna was not involved, partaking in actually getting them down at all, and they just backed away immediately. They knew it was going to be standard lanes or completely swap it. They saw the Janna. So.
And everyone playing nice and safe in these lanes. The late scaling Kog'Maw, he's got all the time in the world to wait it out as Rokinia takes a page out of Zeitnot's book from yesterday. And the Gangplank netting himself some Krakens, I believe they're called.
Yep. Still the serpent.
That's
Yeah. I want to know what he's going to max as well here, Syros, because a lot of mid Gangplanks actually have a preference towards the heal max, just max to remove Scurvy, so you actually have a presence in laning phase. Your spells, they are augmented a lot by itemization. Once you get a Sheen, doubles the damage of your kegs as an example, so you're always going to have damage, and just upgrading the amount that you get healed is very helpful.
Most see what he takes as Naru looks to shove this wave under the turret. Unfortunately, Gangplank, not that much wave clear early on. Should be just fine, though. I'm sure Syros is plenty comfortable as the junglers look to clear out their blue buffs on opposite sides of the map.
And it's funny, because as a top laner, like, they're not that much wave clear doesn't matter, because Varus isn't a roamer. Like, he can try and take your turret, but top laners generally CS really well under the turret, so even pushing into the Gangplank, I'm going to say it's actually a bad tactic. He should look to freeze the wave and see how much he can deny with the ranged auto attack, and try and even starve out some mana as Astaroth gets spotted out top by a ward. So we'll have to see whether Naru can make the fast adaptation and stop shoving into the Gangplank, because you can see so far not working out.
Crystal decides to answer on the other side of the map by going for an invade, but no Raptor camp, not going to let him take anything. Syros trying to catch this wave as best he can, but Naru looks like he's content to let it bounce back.
Yeah, the immediate invade as well from Crystal, the second that they saw Astaroth on the wards, has now found himself with an opportunity at bottom.
Rokinia forced to flash. Crystal shows himself, tosses the cocoon for flare, but that's Rokinia, no flash.
Yeah, lane pushing in the other direction as well, so all of a sudden Zeitnot once again, complete control over bottom wave, and this seems to be their big win condition. If their AD carry can make it work, start zoning off farm, they do great things, but just hasn't happened often enough for Dark Passage to find success.
So yesterday we saw, I believe it was Tristana versus the Kog'Maw, and Zeitnot ended up having, I believe it was a 70 CS lead by the end of the game. How does Corki fare against Kog'Maw in a standard lane?
So there's actually huge... I'm going to preface this with this is my opinion, but I think Kog'Maw wins like every single lane at the moment just because of the Sheen power spike you get on your W.
Oh, that's the Royce here.
Yeah, no flash. Zeitnot brought low as he dashes too far forward. Crystal looks for the counter gank from behind, but he's going to find a face full of Astaroth. Can they escape from this one? Seems like they do.
No, counter gank was not that ideal here from the Elites because Astaroth was actually so very in position that they engaged the extra spells used by Dark Passage to get there to put down the initial damage was already countered by Astaroth's positioning.
Yeah, and not only that, there was like 6 ranged creeps, like the double jungler had a rose because of all the extra
It's your favorite thing in the world.
Yeah, it is. I love creeps at the start of the game, but yeah, so Kog'Maw's range actually gives him advantage over a lot of people. Syros going low in the mid lane, but it's the Sheen. The W1 auto attack with the Sheen just means it's so obnoxious to lane against him, especially with a Janna because of the damage augmentation.
So the only trade-off to that is that Corki generally gets the Sheen as well, and Braum stops a lot of damage. So if you look at how the trades are going to go, it comes down to if Corki's Phosphorus Bomb hits, much like it is with every Corki lane, but to a greater degree, because Kog'Maw makes it hurt if you miss that.
Yeah, that's what we're seeing right now as Rydal takes some punishment from Rokinia. And there's been a lot of focus on this bottom lane. Crystal trying to gank twice. Astaroth sneaking in for another gank himself. We can tell where these teams' priorities lie.
Yeah, well, they want to make sure that Rokinia doesn't get as far behind as he did last time, because we mentioned this in the last game. Unipod and Seros did really well against the solo laners of Dark Passage. I think surprisingly well is the way I'm going to put it, although we knew they were fantastic players in their own right. So they've proven as long as Astaroth can keep the bottom lane safe, this Japanese lineup will be completely fine.
Astaroth trading a bit as he takes his Gromp and Crystal secures the Scuttlecraft. Junglers pull from the top side of the map, but Elwin is going to recall action at the bottom. Rokinia still with no flash. Boss Bomb lands, heal is burned. And Rokinia, he's being bullied out of this lane.
That was a really good Unbreakable, actually, out of the Braum there to make sure it didn't get the double knock-up happening. Crystal now stalking out Astaroth.
I think the best part of that trade was saving the Phosphorus Bomb for the stun to connect from the Braum passive also to guarantee themselves winning that trade. It was the one thing we mentioned earlier, it's very important that it connects. Well, they have a way of ensuring that it does.
Scary situation for Rokinia as he finds himself already down a few CS behind Zeitnot and Rydal as they continue to put pressure on this bottom lane. They're sitting on top of a ward right now, but Rokinia is still going to look to catch some creeps as Astaroth once again headed to the bottom side of the map.
And it's really important to note that the pressure's actually on Zeitnot this time around to win the lane. It's not like he's the Kog'Maw and has the scaling late game, so winning is just an extra bonus. Because there will become a time in this game where Rokinia and Kazu just do more with their resources than what the bottom lane of Dark Passage do. So they really need to try and put them in a 10-20 CS hole before the Trinity Forces come out, because otherwise the Kog'Maw should just continue to scale up into the late game.
Keep an eye on Rokinia if he can stay afloat under the pressure from Zeitnot. Asteroid still on the bottom side of the map, looks to play it safe as Crystal is spotted out by a ward near the mid lane. Roaming as best he can. He's still got a CS advantage over Asteroid, clearing just a bit faster, but he's spotted out by a ward as he looks for Zeros.
You know what's great, though, about this middle lane if you're the Varus, is you get so much extra gold from kegs. I was just watching that before, and Zeros places down a keg to prep for the next wave or to try and catch Varus back on rotation after ward placements. Naru just comes in, auto attacks at free 10 gold. Pretty handy, really.
Pretty solid. We'll see if that gold difference makes too much trouble for Zeros, as he does have his Sheen trading in the top lane as Udapon with the hunting guys trades against Elwin's Catalyst. You can see in the gold, it's still fairly even. In fact, Zeros does have a minor gold lead.
So this is what I like about Gangplank. We're about to see bottom lane get really hardened up as wow.
The equalizer
style,
last hitting.
Equalizer. So if you're Gangplank right now, you can just drop your ultimate and pick up every piece of that CS the way the turrets work. It's really nice to do.
And having that Q, of course, very handy for having the gold lead, even though they're reasonably equal with their last hitting. So, all things considered, similar to Twisted Fate in that respect, is that if you go even in lane,
you win.
You're actually ahead.
Yeah, and you saw he dropped it in the bottom lane there.
Yeah.
Ultimate now on cooldown. He goes back, grabs the Phage. He's nearly at his Trinity Force at only 10 minutes in. And bottom laners, even though there is a gold lead right now for Zeitnot, it's only boot, so shouldn't equate to much in the bottom lane.
Very patient early game. A lot of respect coming out from these two teams. Again, this is the first game of the day, and while Detonation and FocusMe are at the top of the standings, they don't want to take any chances in the brackets and let Dark Passage take a second head-to-head win should it come to more trouble later on.
Wave is just so good.
Yes.
Every part of his kit's actually just super fun. Like, he's a great champion, but he's one of those champions that has the benefits of being great. As Bridal goes in.
Ooh, they're just going.
Looks for the knockup, turns onto Kazu. Here comes a teleport from Elwin. Kazu's low. He does have the Monsoon, but Kazu looks to escape with his life. They turn onto Rokinia. He flashes once again. Monsoon is used to disengage. And you're exactly right. That teleport was canceled as Udapon looked to follow on his own.
Yeah, not even the flash used by Elwin manages to just straight cancel the teleport. So not the best positioning from Udapon to use that spell, but what I really liked in that trade was the way Kazu reset the fight. He reset it at an angle where he can maintain the ult, get the full channel out of it, and Rokinia can look to push forward and zone them away. So it wasn't just a disengage, it was a counter-engage opportunity.
Crystal shows himself bottom. He was looking for a bit of a dive, but Rokinia and Kazu well aware that it's happening. Play it nice and defensive. They're not going to be able to break the turret on this wave thanks to Rokinia and Kazu's wave clear, but let's take a look at Asteroid on the other side. He's trying to find some action of his own.
Yeah, he's trying to replicate exactly the same thing, but bottom lane turret will fall down. They've backed away from it completely. This is one of Elisa's strengths, is sieging up turrets early game.
And
she has
diving.
great dive potential. She has a ranged auto attack as well. So, Dark Passage grab an early gold advantage.
First turret for Dark Passage. They're so far only about 300 gold up when it's all said and done, but more importantly, Zeitnot, he's got that 20 CS lead over Rokinia, and now Dark Passage looks to take the dragon as well.
So this is a big mistake from Asteroid. Trying to get down that top turret is the natural answer to the push that was going down in the bottom lane by Crystal and the rest of Dark Passage. But because he's revealed himself to be in that top lane, the immediate dragon afterwards from the tower goes down, and realistically, he was better off just not showing his positioning. They wouldn't have got the dragon, and they didn't get the top tower anyway.
Looks like the slightly younger team of Detonation FocusMe once again having a bit of difficulty with the more complex macro calls in this set as they try to trade inefficiently, and now Dark Passage. They've got first dragon, they've cleared out that first turret. They're starting to get a little bit scary for Detonation FocusMe to deal with. But luckily, DFM have got a late game comp with the Kog'Maw.
Yeah, but the other thing they also have is just like a lot of control over the map right now, Dark Passage. So they can rotate the Corki, who's pretty close to the Trinity Force, anywhere they want on the map. They are going back bottom lane, which I'm going to question because it looks like Udapon's doing a really good job in the 1v1. In fact, he's up 20 CS. And, you know, we've been talking about how good Zeitnot's doing. That's monstrous for a non-laning champion like a Rumble to be able to get that far ahead. Of course, it is a soft counter pick right now to the Maokai in the top lane, but that's out of Elwin, who we credit to be a really good solo laner. That's pretty surprising for me.
And he's even gone for the Haunting Guys over any kind of magic resistance to try and win the laning phase, so that was a lot of damage. The fact that he's ahead in top lane, so that was really distracting. All of a sudden someone loses most of their health. Okay. But the fact that he's gone for the double magic pen, he most likely will work towards the triple magic penetration style of build, but he's foregone the lane-based resistance. He's just gone straight into the damage, means that when Dragon Fight rolls around next fight, even right now, if they look for some kind of teleport engage, it's just unfortunate in terms of item timing. He's doing well, the rest of the team is struggling.
Zeros made a huge mistake there with his barrel placement, but in the end, it'll be alright. Uses the ultimate to clean that one out as they finally get the Corki and the Varus teamed up. This is what we're expecting them to do. Rotate around the map as a unit, use this great siege potential, and see if they can knock down early coverage. Because as we said, if Dark Passage get the lead early on in this game, it's going to be very hard to come back from.
Passage looked to siege up in this mid lane, trying to break down that mid tier 1, but luckily with 4 members and a gangplank, they're able to keep it standing. Even Udapon walking down without a teleport to make sure, just in case, he's headed back up now. And Zero breaking that Trinity Force power spike.
Yeah, so Trinity Force #1 out of probably 4 done on the map right now.
Yeah.
We'll see how it does come into play, whether the Gangplank is able to use that mid lane farm and his passive to great effect. And you can see Naru doesn't really like the harass so far.
Taking a bit of damage from Rokinia, the Phage and Sheen trading rather effectively, but Naru answers back with an arrow of his own. I guess the big concern then is that this game looks so similar to the one we saw yesterday. Again, Zeitnot has a lead, but Elwind and Naru are a little bit down in CS. With the new team compositions layered into this, does this work out better for Detonation FocusMe?
Yeah, 100%. Their team copy is heaps better like last game, because all of a sudden, Udapon and Zeros have 100% damage threat. So this isn't a Raise the Cosmo comp anymore. This is just a normal AD carry with 2 hyper-scaling late-game team fighters in the top and mid lane. You can see Zeros is just continuing to repel the siege, and Udapon continues to build his lead.
And this is a really early siege by Dark Passage in terms of Corki's items. Of course, Naru's got that blue buff, so he's always going to hurt because he's got levels. He is level 10 at the moment, but they're up against a lot of wave clear from a Gangplank who has his kegs. And it's a bit of a battle, of course, to actually get the kegs off, but never mind.
Hero finds Kazu. He's bursted low, flashing to dodge the boss bomb. There goes
that
the equalizer.
rumble.
Zeitnot has to jump away. Rydal misses the knockup. There's the ultimate from Gangplank, but Zeitnot's still alive. And there's action in the mid lane. Elwin teleported in. He died, giving over first blood in this set.
Really good engage there out of the Detonation FocusMe lineup. We said, how do they engage on this? They just walk at them slowly. Turns out to be the answer, and it worked out. They're able to pick up the kill. Probably still going to be able to repel the siege with both Udapon and Zeros in the mid lane. And Crystal and Rydal need to be careful, because this Gangplank just does so much damage.
They're engaging off Naru, putting down all of this damage. But again, something that we're about to mention is only just now the Trinity Force is completed for Zeitnot. And that sieging that they were doing is infinitely stronger because of it.
Yeah,
but they spent all of this time sieging.
Yeah, that was a really strange call in the end. As Asterori comes in, helps clean up this last wave. You would feel that the siege cannot continue, although Naru still has a blue buff, so they might look to go with it. But no, everyone backed away. They've been at it for about 5 minutes. There's a lot of items to pick up. You can see Trinity Force was one for Cosmo. For Corki would have to follow for Cosmo soon. And slowly but surely, even though it's 1 turret to none, Detonation FocusMe continue to stay in this game.
I feel like they've realized there's more than one lane. It was a pretty good ARAM while it lasted, though.
Unfortunately, no Poros flying around in this set. Dragon is going to be up in a minute, and Detonation FocusMe dead even in gold, hitting some pretty scary damage. Leandry's now completed for Udapon. He doesn't have his teleport, but I'm sure he'll be prepared as Detonation FocusMe look to continue scaling their solo lane.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot of
514 damage out of that alone.
I did not know Gangplank hurt that much.
No, Gangplank hurts more, man. You wait till the
That was just a
Edge
Trinity
comes through.
Force.
Oh my goodness.
He crits with that. Sheen procs it as well. So, Tiamat, I believe. No, that's just the Q. Damn. That would have been cool.
Well, we'll see if Naru can trade back to Siros damage as he's made it out of the early game. Scuttle Trap picked up by Dark Passage as the Dragon spawns. Rumble has wandered his way down once again. 5v5 root up.
So Zeros needs to be careful here, because he's taking a lot of damage. Off the back of that, they might even have to abandon.
Or just
Kazu
that.
going down.
Wow. He should be dead.
His positioning just a little bit off, ends up punishing him quite a bit as Rokinia rush for the turret. Equalizer locks down Dark Passage. They've got to stick to the wall.
And the Gangplank hold.
And they keep the turret standing. They're certainly trying to flash, but it's answered by Crystal. He's forced to take a lot of damage. Asteroid again does the knockup. He's low. He's still alive in this set. Let's see if the arrow will find him. It does. The assassination from Naru trades it back.
That's just a situation where Detonation FocusMe were trying to get that turret down with all of their being. Udapon's ultimate didn't cover the entire ridge that they were walking past. So Gangplank uses the ultimate again. Controls a zone with kegs, but it wasn't enough of a zone that was controlled to the point where they just got poked out yet again. Janna has to use that ultimate to save Asterore, but he goes down anyway. So big mistake here from Detonation FocusMe.
They give up the second dragon. This is huge for Dark Passage. All of a sudden, against a team that should excel at securing neutral objectives, they're falling behind. And it's because Dark Passage, we mentioned, if they get there first, it's going to be pretty okay for them, and they've done it twice so far.
To see if Detonation FocusMe can try to play their objectives a bit more. Their big shot caller, Kazu.
He's waiting for the cue.
We've seen he's had a bit of difficulty with his positioning in the past. Certainly a worthy analyst as they've got the right team comp, but his positioning has been hurting his team in this set.
It's just the big question of how are they going to be able to fight from him. Oh my god.
Zeitnot takes a lot of damage. The straight
flash.
What the heck? He's got the equalizer, drops it down. Zeitnot dies.
Why would you flash when you could just
heal?
Depends what you value more, mate. I like my equalizer to be up.
The reason he even died there was the third tick that actually surprised Zeitnot. That doesn't actually exist because you're not on the equalizer, but he dies anyway. A bit absurd, but that's how he went down. Unexpected damage.
Hitbox of the equalizer slightly bigger than its visual.
No, not even that. The fact that it ticks a certain amount of times after you are on top of it.
Naru and Rydal try to siege in the mid lane, but Siros, so good wave clear. Keeps his turret standing. Rokinia looks to answer on the opposite side of the map with the triports of his own. No mana means no Sheen procs, and he's going to back away from the rest of Dark Passage.
Yeah, they don't want to overcommit here, you know. Even though there's a 30 CS advantage in the bottom lane, 25 in the mid lane, with all the extra gold Gangplank's been grabbing from that passive, means that right now he's an absolute monster. You can check out his items even. BF Sword, going towards that Infinity Edge second. It's definitely a luxury build if you are a Gangplank player, but once you get there, it works out real nicely.
The luxury is even that he can place a single keg over at the Raptors and take down 3 small ones for his troubles. And then just come back to that middle lane and get 6 more. So he is farming up a storm. The fact that kegs proc the Q bonus gold as well if you last hit them with the Q. Cloud9.
Naru's been landing arrow after arrow, and Siros tries to keep his turret standing. Now he's got some help from Kazu, who takes some additional punishment from Naru. He's been doing everything he can to keep this Gangplank down. And while he is down in CS,
Just a machine gun already.
Yeah, he's doing so much damage.
Desperation. Hitting the turret, tanking the turret for no particular reason. They want to get this middle turret down right now so that they can open the map up for themselves and start making some picks with the Varus strength.
Oh, they got the barrel, so it will fall down.
Yeah, this turret looks to go low. Asteroi's caught. The cask is huge, but Crystal gets pulled out of it. They turn on to Siros, putting flashes, causes low. He dodges the arrow by flashing himself.
Teleport, this is good.
Slow. Here comes Udapon. It's going to be answered as Elwyn tries to get back in. Siros lands on the Rydal, the equalizer. Manages to slow Rydal, but he gets out. Flash.
Gangplank
Rokinia is going low. Zeitnot uses the heal. He's brought low, but he's still alive. Flash, he gets out. Rydal, the exhaust. He's trying to get the kill. Finally, Dark Detonation FocusMe get their first kill after the team fight. Rokinia's a bit overextended here, but he's still alive. Whoa! Might not be for long, though.
He's up against the machine gun Varus, but that engage again, it wasn't ideal by Dark Passage, but it was the right decision because the turret was going down from that single keg being taken from themselves. They're able to work around that strength. It feels like their team fighting is superior, but if they ever give Detonation FocusMe a chance to turn that fight back around, the Rumble teleport and the equalizer on the carries, he just destroys them.
Yeah, 100%. Like right now, Udapon is the carry. Let's take another look at Asteroid. Gets 2 members underneath the turret. Straight away, Kazu has to reset the fight, and the Cogmore comes in from the end. That should have been 2 members dead, but it was just short. And then here comes Udapon. We keep talking about this guy with all the items, able to lay out the red carpet. Rydal has to flash in the end, and then Rokinia goes over the wall. The aggressive carry trying to pick up Zeitnot. He burns both Summoner spells because of Rydell's flash. Rokinia's flash. Rydell's also going to fall at the back end of it. But Naru, really the shining light. We mentioned the captain needing to have a big game. This Varus is starting to really hurt.
Oh, Zeitnot might be in trouble as he tries to protect his bottom tier 1, but Detonation FocusMe destroy him. Utapon does so much damage. He's so low, he's tanking the turret right now. Here comes the Elise. She doesn't get the auto attack. He dies to the red buff. Shutdown gold for Crystal. It's 2 for 1 and a turret.
Yeah, 2 for 1. The turret falls down. Top lane going to follow, but Gangplank should be able to get mid. And right now, Chaos all over the map means that Dark Passage will come out slightly ahead.
Scary situation for Detonation FocusMe. Syros looks to answer. He does so much damage. The turret falls. Naru's forced to answer, but he does some pretty solid damage with his own.
There's just no real kill pressure in a 1v1 here from Naru.
Oh, he's that barrel hit.
Not at the Infinity Edge just yet. Again, Gangplank has the W. He has the remove Scurvy. He's never going to die to just the Varus ultimate. But in a direct 1v1, if the crits ever connect, Naru needs to be real careful.
Crystal's getting a bit aggressive here as his pink ward gets cleared out. Scuttle Crab is secured. Dragon 3 is up in 40 seconds. Dark Passage have finally opened up the map after a 9-minute mid lane siege. Detonation FocusMe are
totally
looking so scary.
Yeah, he certainly does. You can see how badly he wants to go back. They wouldn't give up this much positioning around Dragon number 3 if he didn't have a big item to go back onto. You see they also sent back to Cogmore.
He doesn't have it.
Doesn't have
25 gold away.
Hasn't it gone up in cost?
375 for the combine.
I'm feeling that it's around 560 or 670, something like that now to upgrade it.
Wow.
675. 675.
675. Okay. Well, he doesn't have it quite yet. Asteroid takes some punishment from Naru.
Some punishment. Is that how we describe some now?
Brutal.
Well, you saw when Naru was able to land his combo on Rokinia from 1,400 health down to below 100 with 2 arrows and the hail of arrows?
So all of a sudden, unless the beautiful equalizer comes out.
Something like that. Oh, great chain of corruption finds Utapon. Syros tries to get in, but there's the knockup. They're trying to trade it out. Utapon is exhausted. He's not able to find a kill. The AoE zone control is not enough. Detonation FocusMe are trying to get kills, but Dark Passage are kiting it out. Finally, Zeitnot gets 2 with the AoE. He's going to be locked down. The cast from Asteroid picks up the kill, but Naru's still alive. He's looking for an arrow, but he doesn't find it.
Yeah, 3 for 2 in the end. A great big one out of Zeitnot meant that he grabbed a double kill. But really, Utapon once again on the backline, shredding everyone. 4 members collapse onto Elwyn, can't chunk him out. But it's just all about the Rumble.
Yeah, honestly, this Rumble does so much work with the equalizer. Cogmore's off in his own planet, destroying people on the sidelines as well. Unreal, and the most important thing I find is that Kazu actually completely resets the fight once again. So they've just gone, except for that, which is really good from Zeitnot. He actually resets to enough health that they survive for long enough that they find Zeitnot in the end. So all things considered, Detonation FocusMe. You don't fight them for objectives, but that is exactly what Dark Passage did.
It's not quite working out for Dark Passage when that fight is said and done. The late scaling Cogmile is now 2-0-5. He's still down in CS, but he's more than making up for it in kills.
Hey,
and Syros.
He's got it.
Yeah, he got the Infinity Edge. All of a sudden,
that was a Varus ult.
Anywhere near him. Does that.
He's taking a lot of damage. There's no flash from Naru. They are going to destroy him. Rydell gets obliterated as well.
Syros does so much damage. That was 2 barrels and an equalizer. And the mid laner from Dark Passage was, I think he said what we said. What the heck was that?
That's a lot of damage right there coming out of this Gangplank. But Utapon himself, it's just unreal. 1 crit, 2 crit, 3 crit, more crit. Dr. Zeus.
Wow.
Amazing damage from Syros. He actually nets his first kill of the game when it's all said and done, but
he doesn't want kills. This is the best thing about Gangplank. I can't stress this enough.
Whoa!
Oh my goodness.
1 auto.
Chasing it down. The ultimate goes out. God. He tries to solo kill Zeitnot.
So I can't stress enough on Gangplank how irrelevant kills are as long as you're getting CS. Because of your passive, you want everyone else on your team to be getting the kills, and you want to be getting farm because he does more with farm, they do more with kills. So the longer he can keep towards this 10 CS a minute, which he's doing, which is why you sacrifice the little wolves, you sacrifice the little race, because he just gets the multiplier on top of them and makes big bank.
And you know, the best part about this is the person with kills is the Rumble. So you look at their team fighting, you look at their objective control, if you look at Dragons and Barons, the fact that you have to come into not necessarily choke points, but there are so many choke points nearby, they can force you into them with the keg control, drop down the equalizer and the Gangplank ultimate, and everybody explodes.
Yeah, exactly right. You know, if there wasn't a choke point, like choose to walk through a barrel or an equalizer, that's a choke point in itself. So they can just control the approach every single time. And this is what we said. Detonation FocusMe, they need control of the map because as soon as Dark Passage are walking into them, it doesn't look like there's a way for them to win the team fights. Sure, they can get a huge flank out of Elwind, but that's what the Cogmore's for, to destroy the Maokai. Everyone else has to run through this Gangplank, who's just getting bigger.
Scary situation for Dark
He's 60
Passage.
CS up with his passive.
So he's already upgraded his ultimate twice, and he's on 50 Silver Serpents towards the next one. So doing real well here, this Gangplank, to say the least.
Things going awfully good for Detonation FocusMe as they get towards the late game. They're looking to
like the
get the win.
It looked like that, but the keg didn't actually explode. The first keg didn't explode.
Okay.
The big question is, can Braum break the chain?
I don't know.
It's not
if you're Braum, are you going to catch it?
I don't want to try it.
We'll have to see if Detonation FocusMe can end up securing the win. Kog'Maw scaling. Gangplank scaling. Rylai's Leandries on Udapon. Seems like Detonation FocusMe, as long as they play the map appropriately, are going to...
Zyghnot's played against a Gangplank.
It's such a mini game.
He like prioritizes barrel over anything else, man. He does not want to be hit by one of those, but the split push in the top lane continues.
Situation looks like this tier 2 is going to get teleported.
Rod's up for Udapon. They can't even collapse on this for a fight. They just need to try and defend.
It's actually really hard to do as well if you consider that there is a Gangplank pushing mid at all times. Naru's used his ultimate.
Aurora gets caught, but the AoE starting to stack out. Naru gets bounced around and destroyed. Here's Udapon. He's got exhaust, but he still does so much. He's trying to trade it over. There's a barrel. It finds Zyghnot. The equalizer destroys that AD carry. Udapon is still alive. He's finally going to go down as Syros cleans it up with a triple kill.
Him the kill.
Quadra kill. Elise falls. It's a pentakill on the Gangplank.
And every single time I see this champion Hobbit, I get excited because I know they play at mid lane. And this is the thing about short lane Gangplank. How do you deny the man CS? He's 605, 70 CS up. I'm going to say he's 3,000 gold in the lead.
Just plain ridiculous. The fact that he can come into a team fight, right? Rumble overheated. So many things go against this team in that engage, but Aurora plays his job to perfection, engages here onto Naru, makes sure that he is dead. That's the biggest threat of Dark Passage gone. Gangplank's ultimate is destroying them, and he comes in from the flank here, destroys Zyghnot with a single crit, one auto, he's down. And this is just where it becomes crit after crit, using those kegs. Almost gets the penta hit, not, and there it is.
Yeah, and I love that he shot him, you know, extra 8 gold, icing on the cake. But he goes back, gets Last Whisper and Brutalizer. All of a sudden, what was a very scary Gangplank is now petrifying.
6-0-5. Armor penetration picked up by Syros.
And he already ignored like 50
down.
of it because of the barrel. Like, there's just nothing that you do right now.
Yeah. There's been better situations to be against.
Elwind is getting shredded down. He doesn't even have flash anymore. He just uses it, tries to get a kill in reverse, but look at the damage.
Take a second to appreciate that that's a tank. That looks like a piece of foam that's just been like torn in half or something.
Syros is ridiculous. Tries to chain another barrel off the Zyghnot, but doesn't quite find it.
Fun fact about Gangplank is if there's already 2 down, you can place the third.
Equalizer goes down. Aurora tries to get the front. He's locked down before he can make anything happen. But Syros doesn't even care. He's looking for the turret. Naru tries to answer back. Rokenia gets tagged. He gets hit by another arrow. He's low. Syros is caught. He's going solo. He's shut down and picked up by Zyghnot. The rest of Detonation FocusMe are running for their lives.
They need to successfully disengage. One of the other strengths of Kog'Maw is the fact that he's really good at running away, so they will live to fight another day. One more member, and that could have been a Baron call, and it still looks like it might be.
Definitely. Dark Passage actually making a very pivotal pick, but that was over-aggression from Detonation FocusMe, capitalized on very well by this Dark Passage side. They're looking to contest this Baron.
Yeah, I think they can as well. Unless Naru gets so many arrows out, it's still a very hard Baron to take.
Vital uses the Unbreakable. Udapon leads the charge. He gets caught out by Elwin. They're bringing him low. Rokinia's in the front line. He doesn't get the solo. The Baron is going to be picked up by Crystal. That's Dark Passage, but they're trading kill after kill over as Crystal goes down. Elwin tries to kill Udapon, but that Rumble cannot be stopped.
That was really unfortunate here from Dark Passage to actually lose a member at all, but they did make an aggressive decision for the Baron, and it does pay off. Only the slightest amount of health remaining on Udapon, but he does not care. Time to do the Dragon with his team because they've made a pick, and now they're the ones in control of this bottom side of the map. Look at the mini-map.
So a good delay has been started here for Dark Passage, you know. They're still only 2,000 gold down. A lot of the gold is on the Gangplank, as we said. So if they ever pick Syros off again, it's just so much that goes down with him. But that was definitely a force from Detonation FocusMe, and you feel that they will not do that again.
Scary situation for Dark Passage as their top inhibitor has been secured. And while they do have the Baron buff for another 2.5 or 3 minutes, I don't think they're likely going to be pushing into that Gangplank.
Well, actually, this is one thing that slows Gangplank down quite a fair bit, is the Baron buff, because he stops one-shotting the minions. As strong as he is right now, Baroned up minions are just absolute tanks. Like, they hit the gym, man, a couple of times a week at least.
They bench a lot.
Elwin doesn't quite have his teleport, so Dark Passage getting a bit cold with this siege down the mid lane. But again, Syros is ready. Rokinia waiting in the wings. Not quite able to clear the wave out too much. I think Udapon got the majority of those.
And then, once again, the arrows are going to continue to fly through. And this might be the window they're looking for. We said they have a great siege comp. Black have engaged on the side of, wow, Syros is jumped. He needs to go back.
This is the exact window the Dark Passage have been looking for. They can now siege, and that's the one strength they've got against this side. If they can poke members out, they can then dive with the elite
Right
strength.
now, they just need a hard engage out of someone.
Oh my gosh!
Where's the...
Sightnot.
There he is.
Oh, there's the equalizer. The heal comes across. Sightnot is running. Udapon gets into his face and destroys him, but Crystal shuts him down on the far side. Syros is going to be able to catch up, and Rokinia nets a double kill. 3 members dead. Crystal flashes the wall, but that was a 3-for-1.
Yeah, and I was going to ask, where's Udapon? He actually teleported behind them to cut them off. Made sure in the end that it was not going to go in Dark Passage's favor. They pick up the 3 kills, and now they're looking to break the base for the second time.
Oh my god, though. Honestly, that all started from a Gangplank crit. I just wanted to point that out. 1.2k damage onto Zeitnot, and that was the fight, and potentially more than just the fight.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be double inhibitor. We'll see whether they can grab the game with it.
Finds Syros, but he was able to cleanse that with some healthy old potassium.
Potassium?
Vitamin C.
Vitamin C, that's
the
better.
one.
Yeah, if there's one thing I'm not going to let go today, Dom, bad, I don't even know what it's called.
Bad comedy. That's okay. We haven't had too much in this set, but we're 36 minutes in, 4,000 gold lead for Detonation FocusMe, as they've got 2 inhibitors down. Dark Passage, not that far behind in gold, but how on earth can they catch out that Gangplank?
Yeah, that's what it needs to become a mission of, doesn't it? And you have a look at the build right now. Think maybe Syros. He's still going damage, actually, in the end.
I'd imagine it's a Ravenous Hydra. Might be Zephyr. Wouldn't mind a Zephyr. That's a pretty good item.
Not bad.
Oh.
See whether it's something a little bit more defensive, like a Hex Drinker upgrade or something like that.
Nah.
No? All right.
It's better off going Gwynzus, really.
Rage Blade. They're going for the flank here. They've got out Crystal.
This could be a scary situation. They do indeed destroy Crystal. Zeitnot is going to be caught between Gragas and a hard place. Rokinia over the wall is going to find Corki. He doesn't get the trade again. Let's see if Naru can find someone else. No, Zeitnot actually survived for that.
Only barely did he get out, though. Zeitnot managing to outplay the 1-versus-1 there against the Kog'Maw, and even though this fight started with Astaroray knocking him against the wall, so a period of delay between being able to auto-attack or not, but he spell weaves to perfection. gets that pick, and now this is so much more difficult for Detonation FocusMe to actually siege. They're against a Naru.
Yeah, what they have to do is actually just wait up. I think that Kazu should have just burnt his ultimate to get everyone back to full health, because they should eventually be able to break into this base here with Udapon and Sera still hanging around.
Naru's doing
going to be hard.
He's doing everything he can to keep these waves clear, but Gangplank creeps the minions up closer and closer, with super minions pushing in from both other lanes.
They're all going back. I really disagree with this. The double creeps are in the base. The members going back out of Dark Passage right now, and they give it up.
I think they've come to the conclusion that Baron's their way to win this game. It is now on the tables, 1 minute and 40 seconds away from fruition. And that's going to be the most important thing for them to achieve. They can control the bottom lane. They've got the Gangplank ultimate if need be to throw that one down. They don't have the teleport just yet. Isn't too far away. But if they can get the Baron, then Naru can't instantly clear all of the minions.
Situation for Dark Passage with double inhibitor down. They're going to have to keep Baron safe from Udapon's Rumble, from Cirrus' Gangplank, heck, even from Asterore, who's been playing excellent with those casts. Tricky situation, and the vision is now being cleared around the dragon.
There's a pink ward.
Nobody's checking the bush. Come on, guys. Oh, they don't quite find it, but they are going to finally manage to break down this last Tier 2 turret. Dark Passage are confined to their base.
Yeah, so in the end, they go back, they get a big shot out. See what they can do now. They are trying to push into the base. You can see Sera still does a lot of work. Has some CDR for himself. Rakinia needs to be careful as he's up the front there.
Arrows from Naru raining down left and right. Doesn't find anyone just yet. Dragon's up in 10 seconds, and Detonation FocusMe are prepped and ready. This is their number 3. Was Cirrus just holding 3 members?
Yeah, I don't think they really want to go into him, though.
Yeah. I wouldn't walk near Kegs. It's one thing to say, zone control right now from this Japanese side is just immensely powerful. There's no reason for Dark Passage to leave their base with 2 inhibitors down and into a Gangplank and a Rumble.
That just means a Baron, even more important than the objective now. We'll see whether Detonation FocusMe can set up correctly for it. They're pushing the lanes out. They're going to have to sweep all of that vision. Udapon staying in the bottom lane. I think right now it's just more valuable to have the Rumble with the team, but we'll see if he's able to make this split push work.
Yeah, Dark Passage are going to look to contest this. 100% has to happen. But Udapon being in that bottom lane, of course, Dark Passage are forced out of their base. Detonation FocusMe just don't have to touch the Baron. They can just sit here and play the game, wait till wards have run out, work around Cirrus, get a crit, and then let the Rumble poke around in that bottom lane. But seemingly, by the fact that he's recalling, he's going to teleport in.
Yeah, scary situation as the Baron is started up. It's being shredded through. Rydell looks to get a ward down. He spots it out. Crystal, can he get the steal? No, he cannot.
Oh,
He's going into the pit. He is forced to flash the wall. Udapon actually teleports to join with the rest of his team. Goodness gracious, those barrels are scary.
But what? Nothing happened. In the end, Udapon uses the ultimate. The ultimate went out of Gangplank as well. They did get the Baron buff. They'll go back for one last shot. And you feel that from here, they have to stream through the mid lane, see if they can get all the other lanes pushing at the same time. And Dark Passage running out of time at this.
I just have to point it out. It is the Tiamat.
It's the Tiamat. Well, if he's going to go one of the most expensive builds in the game, Ravenous Hydra definitely fits in.
Got enough money for it, that's for certain. So Gangplank is hitting almost maximum items. And I mean,
5,000 gold ahead.
To consider he's got a build that expensive and it's not finished, even though he's earned about 18k. Most other builds, you're looking at, what, 17,500 to be finished?
Yeah.
So
there are some really cheap builds out there, especially for top laners at the moment that go through like 1,600 when you have the Thornmails and things like that involved as well.
With Baron, Detonation FocusMe look to close out this match, getting revenge for their previous loss to Dark Passage. They are absolutely terrifying right now. Still very close in gold. In fact, even in gold, if you discount Cirrus' advantage.
Which you don't. So
you definitely don't. He exists.
But Dark Passage fighting for their lives in this set as Detonation FocusMe siege forward with the Baron.
Kenny needs to be careful. He's playing front and center right now. Isn't really helping his team out. Naru is still an absolute monster. Once again, Asterore, nice and low. They should just pull the trigger.
Oh, they just did.
That's it right there.
Wow.
Naru gets slammed. He's going to be able to make it out with his life, but this inhibitor gets broken so easily as Asterore and Kazu lead the charge. They're going to break down the top inhibitor as well.
But now they don't have two ultimates. They can potentially fight here.
Oh, they've managed to catch Zeros. He uses the cleanse to keep himself up. Knockup finds Udapon. Can they drop him out? Zanyas keeps him alive. The cast resets the fight just in time. But Rokenia is running for his life. Our Dark Passage winning this fight. They managed to pick off Rokenia. Udapon is caught once again. He's overheated. He goes down. That's 2 members.
Dark Passage win the team fight, you know, double ultimate used to get the inhibitors, but they stuck around. And in the end, Dark Passage made them pay. Asterore needs to be more front and center and just flash body slam onto the carries. There's no way that he cannot get in there. If more than 3 arrows goes off, Naru wins the fight.
And another big hiccup from this side. Again, the side waves that were pushing from this Dark Passage side needed to be attended. They could go for the second inhibitor as a maybe, but if they actually just controlled their waves before going in and before fighting, they've got the Baron buff. They had time. In fact, after dying, some members still have the buff on them. They didn't respect the sideways, but that crit is going to make you respect.
He's barely getting out of it. Rydal escapes with his life, but Zeros looks to be in a scary position. Rydal almost caught. Asterore wants a kill. He's
they need to be careful
for it. Scary position. Kazu takes another arrow. There's so much damage from these lineups.
Really trying to fight here, Detonation folks. I mean, I should just say Zeros in particular, but he's trying to push them away.
Huge.
Yeah.
Someone needs to go.
I don't know why they haven't gone to
turret.
Ooh, another tier 2 gets dropped for Dark Passage. They're able to recall safely, and with 2 inhibitors down, they take 2 turrets, Rokenia and Udapon. So vital to their team comp, not able to come and join the fight.
Well, Rokenia is all the consistent damage if the barrels don't hit, you know. If Zeros is able to hit his combo, sure, it chunks people out, but they need the threat of the Cogmore there to ensure that people aren't just focusing on taking the barrels out before the team fight even begins. So we'll see whether they're able to, this time around, walk their minion waves up, properly siege a turret with Gangplank, Rumble, and the Cogmore together.
Come on, minion.
They maybe even caught out the Corki. No, he will be back in base. So this will be a pretty extended siege, you have to think.
But they've lost their Baron buff as well, and this is the exact same position as they were in 5 minutes ago. The big difference is an extra item on basically everybody. So the Varus who hit that big power spike is only augmenting his strength by bit and bit. The Gangplank, who was already really strong, has now got some life still.
They need to drop the Rumble ultimate on the back line and just send Asterore in. No one has summoner spells on the front line for Dark Passage. So they'll be in the team, but in no time, Gangplank kills the front line so easily.
Scary situation as once again Dark Passage are defending their base, but they won the last team fight quite handily.
Well, Naru's wave clear. So good.
Dragon
Bravery shield.
Dragon just spawning. Detonation FocusMe look to secure their 4th now. If they can't get that Baron, they'll at least get the Dragon. Dark Passage are still managing to hang on to this as Detonation FocusMe cannot close this out.
Once again, they walk away. They give them the reprieve they're looking for. There's a tank in the top lane that's trying to deal with super creep, and they just cannot get through the wave clear out of the Varus.
This is actually a consistent issue that we've seen through all of the wildcard teams, with maybe Chiefs as the exception, is when they're ahead, closing a game out seems difficult at best. The one time Dark Passage have actually succeeded in doing so. They got so far ahead against this side in this exact game yesterday that they could just dive.
Yeah. And
Detonation FocusMe aren't playing a team comp where they're just going to immediately dive. It comes down to execution of ultimates, and if a keg connects.
I think it's the equalizer. Udapon does so much damage. They haven't been able to get any magic resist on Naru pretty much. So just drop the equalizer on him, make him back away, because right now his wave clear is killing them.
Super minions finally make their way into the base, but again, Detonation FocusMe back away. They are not going to take any chances.
They're going for another Baron. Reset one more time. Everyone's going to have 6 items. All of a sudden, Zeros' lead means nothing.
Tricky situation for Detonation FocusMe as they're playing to their win conditions, and they're practically chanting their win conditions to Dark Passage, who are playing around them.
Dark Passage is saying, just don't die. just clear waves.
Seems to be working so
If
far.
Naru lives, everything's fine. And I guess a big question mark. He's gone for the Hex Drinker. I like this change because generally you might say he wants to go for some kind of get out of jail free card. He doesn't need a QSS though is the most important factor because you look at the Japanese team comp. They've got a Gragas Janna, so they're a disengage, counter-engage style of team comp. Gangplank has no crowd control besides his slow. Rumble has nothing besides slows. And Kog'Maw's got nothing besides slows. So this is why it's actually so difficult for them to end the game.
Baron has been started. Detonation FocusMe burned through its health crystals over the wall. Can he secure it?
Varus got it.
Stole the Baron. They're fighting on the other side. They've got 2 kills, and Dark Passage are winning the team fight. Syros is still alive, however. He's trying to net the kills. He is able to take 1, but that was 3 for 1, and Dark Passage have the Baron.
Naru stole the Baron buff with his Q, I believe. Of all things against an Elise, against a Gangplank, 2 smites in the pit. The Varus gets it. They get a team fight off the back of that, and 48 minutes in the game, they're about to break the base themselves.
They're about to win the game. Syros is caught out.
Sightknot tries to bring Syros low. He gets chunked away by the poke from Dark Passage. The inhibitor has fallen. It's 4 versus 2 right now. They're trying to end this set.
That's just unreal.
Syros, now's the time to make the big bucks, mate.
Hit that crit.
Super Creeps coming
looking
in.
for it, but they dodge the barrel this time. One Nexus turret goes down, the other soon to follow. They catch Unipon. He doesn't have his Zonias. He doesn't have his flash. He goes down. Syros tries to keep his team alive. He's dead. Dark Passage have won the game.
And what an upset after behind for 49 minutes of the game. Dark Passage able to steal the Baron, get the miracle team fight, and they get back to 2-2.
All it takes is one moment. When the gold resets to 75k apiece, the game is even. It doesn't matter what happened earlier, and all they did was hold on for dear life, work around Naru, work around that Varus, and they found their moment.
And this is what experience gives you. Detonation FocusMe are going to go back, watch that, and say, why the heck did we not dive? Why didn't we just drop the equalizer on the back line? We could have forced them off so easily. We just needed to take 1 more turret. We had super creeps in the base. Instead, they didn't pull the trigger. They tried to slow play it, and on the 3rd Baron, they got burnt.
You've got to imagine Kazu is kicking himself in the head after that set. He was making the right mid-game calls. They controlled objectives. They were getting there first. But when it came to the late game, they just ended up falling to Dark Passage.
So they played it slow,
Yes.
but they maybe played it too slow. They gave enough time for Dark Passage to find their way back into the game, something that definitely shouldn't have happened. But, I mean, I feel like it comes back to team comp again, is they had to dive, but their team comp for diving is average because they need Dark Passage to come at them.
I feel with the double zoning ultimates, honestly, they could have just dropped them on the turret. Like, Kog'Maw's range is long enough. Gragas was super tanky. That was just a little bit of a misplay out of the Japanese lineup because they did have these great zoning tools. They used it once to secure the inhibitor and they just didn't want to use it to secure the turret. They could have just taken the last turret, 3 inhibs down, back out of the base, 1 shot, push in, win.
Yeah.
Not quite able to pull it together. Detonation FocusMe now 2-2 in the standings, and Dark Passage back up to 2-2 themselves.
And blue side curse gone. Day 2.
Exactly, yeah.
Red side's day.
Yeah. You can call it that.
Yeah, well, we're going to toss it out to our analysts to break down that game.
Thank you very much, and what an insane game 1 to kick off day 2 here at the International Wildcard. Froskurin, I just can't believe the game ended that way. That was crazy.
I know. Our producer threw it to us. He's like, good luck analyzing that game. I got you, Benji.
Well, thankfully we'll be able to break it down, but there was so much going on. That was an epic, almost 50-minute game, I think, towards the end. And Dark Passage showing some of that experience that they have. Again, region winning the last wild card, able to bring it out.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When you get to that late into the game, we saw that both of the gold counters were plus, 65, 70K. I mean, your lead only accounts to so much. Once you're 70K, pretty much every single person is 6 items, and then it just comes down to execution of composition and what your composition does for you.
And that's probably the best place to start. So let's have a look at the compositions now. This is what we're working with. You look at the top. This composition was awesome from Detonation FocusMe.
Okay, yeah. So the thing that I really want to point out, and this is one of my favorite combos of all time, is Gragas and Janna. Now, the reason why I love these 2 champions, especially in tandem together, is because it's the strongest disengages in the game. Gragas Cask and Janna Monsoon. And so, effectively, what this meant is you have a long-range engage initiation tool like the Equalizer. You have this crazy upfront burst damage. You're babysitting this little guy. And if it ever gets real, you just press R on 2 champions and you can completely reset a fight. Now, how that works against Dark Passage and why Detonation FocusMe were in control for the majority of the game is because they had very few hard engage options to kind of get on top of or to get past the Cask and the Monsoon. So how Dark Passage's composition is working is you're effectively relying entirely on Twisted Advance. And if you think back to the Season 4 World Championships, Maokai was a huge pick back then, as was Rumble, but you almost couldn't blind pick Maokai if Janna wasn't banned, because anytime Maokai gets onto the back line to try to deny a lot of that damage, Janna's just going to press R and send them flying. Now, the beautiful thing about Dark Passage's composition, though, is kind of this this layering of non-committal CC. So what I mean by a non-committal CC is a skill shot that you don't have to follow up. So a Mumu, he's committal CC.
Yep.
When he grabs you with his bandage toss, he's going in. A Leash, she's going to throw out her cocoon. Brom's going to throw out his Q. If they hit something that they like, they can pull on it. If they don't, they just kind of wait for the cooldowns to come back up. And Dark Passage were so good at being patient with their cooldowns, not just in their Elise and their Brom, but also in their Varus.
Yeah, and certainly a tricky composition to navigate around. We saw that Ceres was doing crazy things on the gangplank. The damage was there for the effectively triple threat comp here from Detonation FocusMe, but some smart play and a lot of very clutch team fights were able to give Dark Passage the win.
Yeah, so the first team fight that I really want to look at is just Detonation FocusMe's composition working beautifully for them. So again, it's about the reset potential between Gragas and Janna, and then the follow-up long-range initiation with Utapon's Rumble. So again, how this works is that Detonation FocusMe have all the tools that they pick when you fight them. So we can go ahead and roll this one through. So here's the initial catch. Now, the Cask is actually used to push Crystal in, but he quickly repositioned himself. Kazu now is going to say, I don't like this team fight, flash back out. I swore he used his Monsoon earlier. Oh, he used it at the very beginning of the fight. Here comes the teleport from Utapon, though. That long-range initiation tool of the Equalizer, and then Rokinia. Just the aggression to flash forward. Then even longer range initiation tool is going to be the Gragas ultimate that Rokinia is going to follow up on, killing Rydell and almost taking out Zeitnot.
Yeah, and that was the cool thing about the comp was that you have a lot of disengage options. They can get aggressive. They've got good range on a lot of their carries, but you saw them chase people for screens with the long-range Rumble ulti and then the even longer range Gangplank ultimate.
Yeah, it becomes this weird kind of zone control that you have with this composition where if anyone ever gets to the backline, you can push them away, but then you have so much threat and reach with your Equalizer, with your Gangplank ultimate, and with your Kog'Maw.
Yeah, and all the isolated... I mean, you don't even have to be separated, but... So, like, don't have to be isolated, but clumped up is where the Gangplank barrels and the AoE damage and the Kog'Maw single target damage, all that stuff's going to shine. And we saw that in a lot of the fights that Detonation FocusMe won.
Yeah, the terrain control, which we were talking about the blue side victory rate, which congratulations, Dark Passage, you guys just broke that streak.
They broke the curse of red side. And that's important as well. Not only do they have now 2-0 over Detonation FocusMe, but picking up the important win on red side is always good. We do have another replay, though, for Oscurin. Again, very back-and-forth game, very dramatic. So let's go now.
This damage that comes out of the Equalizer is just absurd. So here we go. You can see that the Band-Aid has already been laid. We can go ahead and start the replay. And it just melts a lot of the members of Dark Passage, but primarily it splits up the team fight. So you have 2 members of Dark Passage right here, and then you have the rest of them trying to get on this back. So Elwin gets back there. This is what I was talking about. John is like, Maokai on my back line, press R. He's pretty much out of the fight now. Utapon does go down, but this Cask is going to pick up Corki. Bam, you're dead. But again, just a beautiful Equalizer to split the fight. Maokai gets onto the backline, but just the disengage options and tools that Detonation FocusMe have to deal with that
Yep,
comp.
and same thing again. Gangplank ulti also zoning out a big choke of the river. Well fought. Zeitnot did a great job to actually get the double kill there despite going down. And he'll kind of come up, I guess, as a theme to the rest of this game. We talked about the AD carry player from Dark Passage being a big force for him. He came up very big at the end of this game.
He's so impressive mechanically. I remember watching VODs of him and seeing his Vayne performance in particular. If that guy ever gets Vayne, it's just devastating.
Yeah, pretty surprised we haven't seen any Vayne at all, but still some time left as we do pull up another replay now. This time, things are going a little bit better. Actually, still for Detonation FocusMe.
This actually, yeah, I believe this is the pentakill. So we had to go with the pentakill because naturally Detonation FocusMe. They're still in control right now. The gold lead is actually surprisingly close. It has been for the majority of this game. We can go ahead and roll this through. I mean, really, this comes down to just disgusting Gangplank damage. Again, resetting the fight. You don't like how something happens, you just press your R button. Utapon making use of choke points for his Band-Aid, but here comes Gangplank. Bam, there's the choke point on the Band-Aid to delete one member. Choke points with so many barrels and just the ridiculous... Oh, Saros, please.
He did so much damage. You saw his build in that game. 284 Infinity Edge, one of the most expensive builds in League of Legends. But he made it work.
But this is the thing that I want to point out. So now, obviously, our last two replays are kind of shift gears because Dark Passage did end up winning that game, and it's where the gold is funneled across this triple threat composition. That if Utapon is ever caught out, if Saros is ever caught out, Dark Passage have clear win conditions on how they do the team fight. So again, if the resets are burned, if the equalizer doesn't land perfectly, if he's caught out before he throws it, it's just waiting on those cooldowns. So Dark Passage have the advantage the longer a team fight goes down because they get more cycles through the Cocoon, through the Braum Q, through the Varus Q.
Yep, got a bit more consistent damage. We're going to pull up now another replay here. This time, we're going to take a look at the Dark Passage side. They are very close to death here. You can see with their base being caved in, but they managed to hold on.
So important to note as well. 20-11, but the gold lead is still super tight, 69 to 65k. And again, at some point, your gold lead doesn't mean anything. The only thing you're racing towards is your 6 items. So you can go ahead and roll this one through. Now, what's going to happen here is Dark Passage are going to make really good catches. So Elwin gets into the back line. Maokai doing a fantastic job. The reset comes through to push him, but the cask actually pushes him directly back onto Rokinia. So that's actually a big mechanical misstep coming out of Asteroid right there. And then from here, because the 2 resets have already been used, but the team fight is going on long enough, Dark Passage are able to get through multiple rotations of their cooldowns and to chase and force Detonation FocusMe off.
Yeah, and you saw the front line there as well. We talked about Maokai being an important pick last year. It's still been a very strong pick this year as well. Lots of tanking there from Elwin, even the Braum relatively tanky at that point. And when they couldn't funnel people through chokes like a big open base, you could see that the fights were much harder for Detonation Focus.
I'm really glad that you brought up the terrain control again. Pretty much Detonation Focus Me destroyed team fights when they were in the jungle, when they were on the Dragon Pit, making the full use of that equalizer. But a really untimely cast kind of spelled disaster in that team fight.
Certainly did. We have the final fight here as well. Again, very dramatic here in this game. And this Baron, they've already gone there once. They managed to get it the first time. Detonation Focus Me. They can smell victory. The base is wide open there on the bottom side as well, but we'll see what happens.
This is a gorgeous steal. I believe it's actually from Naru.
It is Naru.
On this Varus. But here we go. We can go ahead and roll the clip. Again, just the difference between blue side and red side is how you approach the Baron pit. Crystal does a good job getting into the pit, but it's actually Naru with the piercing arrow that picks it up in the end. Now, the equalizer is used, but Elwin does such a great job absorbing so much of that damage. And again, now that the resets have been used, that Detonation Focus Me doesn't have them available, Dark Passage are able to chase them down and play janitor around these team fights.
Yeah, and then eventually they move on. The game ends not shortly after that, but eventually as Dark Passage are able to win the next few fights. But a long fought game to get there, but they played